Hey there, Bear Club! At the Mama Bear Initiative, we explore how to protect ourselves so we can protect our cubs, the people who depend on us. Join us and get the confidence you need to stay safe, make good choices, and protect yourself and those you care about. Let's go!
Hello and welcome back to the Mama Bear Initiative podcast. I'm Stephanie Dunham.
I'm Evelyn Mason.
And I'm Rochelle Knapp.
I'd like to thank you for joining us for part 2 of an episode about entitlement. So we were talking last time about what entitlement is, why it's a problem, how entitlement plays out in relationships and society, and now we're going to talk about the antidote to entitled behavior. So, Rochelle, you have a story that you'd like to tell us?
I do. Fairly recently, there was a gentleman who came into my store who had gotten his food had been made incorrectly. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people normally would be very mad about that. And they'd be yelling at the poor people in the deli. And he was so kind and so patient and understanding. He essentially just wanted what he paid for. Right. And I think there was another reason behind it other than he just didn't want it. I think there was actually like an allergy or something. He couldn't eat it. But the way he talked to them about it, he's like, it's okay. I just want to get the right sub and it's no big deal. And because they're all apologizing to him. And that was to me like sorry again for all the Karens, the anti-Karen, the person who really genuinely cares about other people's feelings and just wants to get what they paid for. Yeah. Acting entitled.
Why are you so emotional about that, Rochelle?
Because it's such a rarity in my job to see someone like that who actually cares about us and doesn't just run over us with their anger and their entitlement, because we're so frequently subjected to entitlement there. It's unreal. It's not, let me rephrase that. It doesn't happen a lot, but when it happens, it's so much, it's so dramatic that it kind of just ruins the whole day for everybody. But so when someone comes in and is very kind to us, it's like, it kind of lifts our spirits like, oh, not everybody's a jerk that comes to our store, But most people there are really good. They're really decent, nice people, and they just come in to get what they want and they leave. But they're all generally pretty kind to us.
Yeah, so it's oftentimes just that one person who's acting irrationally and aggressively and angrily that thinks they deserve something or another that just makes it, because I feel like that sort of energy in a person affects other people.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, it's like an injection of poison. It doesn't take much, but it causes so much damage. It can just totally ruin a person's day. Just really causes a lot of, damage.
When I'm thinking back to the woman who was acting aggressively towards her mother in the place we were having breakfast, like I felt scared.
Yeah, me too.
Her loud, aggressive, angry tone scared me. Like my heart was racing, my breath went up. Logically, I wasn't in any physical danger. At least I didn't think so. Mm-hmm. Didn't seem like she was going to get up and start doing anything.
Start throwing things.
But the way that she was talking scared me. Now, I have PTSD. I've experienced a lot of aggressive behavior from adults. And talk about being a victim. Mm-hmm. There were adults in my life in my early years that were aggressive and were taking things out on myself and my sister Rochelle. And, there's a possibility that some of what I felt was related to that.
Yeah.
But I think that people in general, even without a trauma background, still are affected negatively by someone acting like that in public.
It's like you wonder, don't you have any self-awareness? Don't you realize that there are other people in this world and that what you do does impact other people?
Right.
Maybe that's just part of the mentality, is that I don't do wrong things. I don't cause harm to other people. I'm just saying what needs to be said, or this is just me, or, whatever. This is just how I am. So people should just, take me as I am.
I mean, there's a place for just being yourself, I guess, but if it's harming I feel like people don't understand that angry, aggressive behavior feels threatening to other people. I feel like people don't understand that.
And that there are ways to handle a situation where you can still calmly deal with it without losing your stuff.
Right. Which is what we're going to be talking about. Like, what's the antidote to entitled behavior? We have a list here. So we have humility, gratitude, kindness, preferring others above yourself. I'm sure there are others that we may think of while we're talking, but
Yeah.
I think the first and most important one is humility.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think that sets the stage for everything else.
It has to.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell myself a little bit here. When I was younger, because of having severe trauma and PTSD, I was a little bit entitled for a while. And not outwardly, but I felt inwardly like I deserved certain things because of how I was treated as a child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I lived that way for a long time, but I felt the unfairness all the time. Like, why can't it be this way? Why can't it be what I want? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And recently, as an older adult now, I'm starting to understand, that's not how you think. And it sounds very simple. It sounds very elemental, but it's really not, because a lot of people act entitled or are entitled to whatever they think they deserve. And like you said, Steph, we don't deserve, the world owes us nothing. Nobody owes us anything. We are here and we are to practice humility and be kind to each other. That's really the ideal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, like I said earlier, in the previous episode, it's such a rarity to find someone who's actually kind and shows it.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a rarity to find someone like that, and they stand out to people because of their actions and how they speak and how they're kind to you.
I think another thing that's been going on lately is that people who are actually trying to deal with entitled behavior are being punished.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't help.
It's true.
It's like you're doing the right thing, so you're getting punished.
Right. Right. If you stand up to a bully, you could get in trouble with whomever.
So I was thinking about, the classic case of the kid standing up to the bully in the schoolyard, and finally, the bully's pushing, and the kid sort of, let's say, punches him in the stomach. And the teacher walks out just as that little kid is punching the big kid in the stomach. Well, she didn't see all that went on before.
Mm-hmm.
And now the little kid's getting in trouble. The big kid might be saying,
Mm-hmm.
and then his buddies are backing him up. So then the kid thinks, I stood up for myself, and now I'm the one in the principal's office. Now I'm the one getting, detention or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Start to think, what is it worth it?
Right.
To do the right thing.
So let's talk about humility. What do we mean when we say humility? Like Rochelle mentioned, and I mentioned, the world doesn't owe you anything. Nobody owes you anything in this world.
I think one thing that helped me was I'm not any better or any worse than anyone else. I heard a very wise woman say that once, because I had a tendency to feel worse than other people.
Yeah.
Then weirdly, sometimes I felt superior. So I was kind of confused. But when she said, we're no better or worse than anyone else. We're all equal. We're all fellow travelers on this land,
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times it's really helpful to go ahead and prefer the other person too. So I'm not only not better than you, but why don't you go ahead and go first? Or, actually preferring the other person.
Yeah. Now, I want to acknowledge that, there's a lot of things going on in our society right now where there's a lot of talk about different power dynamics that people feel are real or true. And I'm not necessarily saying they are or aren't true.
Right.
I'm not going to name any because I don't want to go there, but
Yeah.
this is more of interpersonal stuff, like how you're behaving in public, what you're doing in your relationships with other people, like friendships, family, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not here to solve society's ills or say one group's better than the other or
Right.
certain, perceived power dynamics are real or not real. I'm not here to talk about that.
Right.
I'm here to talk about how I treat my sister, how my sister treats me, how my best friend treats me, how I treat my best friend, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about humility, we're talking about what exactly? What is humility? I think you mentioned that I'm not better than or worse than anyone else. That's definitely a part of humility.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about preferring others above yourself. But I think there's a little bit more there that we could talk about when it comes to humility, because I think humility isn't just a belief,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also an action.
Right.
It's how you treat other people.
Yes, giving them respect, honoring them as a fellow human being. Respect where respect is due.
Mm-hmm.
I think about our martial art, and Stephanie, you're the sensei, and I feel this shift whenever we begin class of giving you your honor, what you're due, your, as we might call it, entitlement, or what you're entitled to because you're a sensei, and you've earned that privilege because you've worked to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And then respecting each other, higher ranks and lower ranks. There's definitely a more humility is you are higher ranked than me because you've been doing this longer and you know more. So therefore you deserve my respect. But the person who is higher up also gives respect to the person who's lower down because we are all in essence equal.
Yeah.
But in that context, there is definitely a hierarchy that we have to follow and that we want to give respect to people because of that.
I think it's choosing to let go of power. Choosing to, I know this word can be fraught, but submitting to one another. So, for example, Steph, you've often talked about in your marriage how there are certain areas where you do submit to your husband, but there are areas where he submits to you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that I choose to not, take a power that I might ordinarily try to grab. I choose to let that go and honor you and, honor your place.
Right. So the power balance is there's some areas where he's in charge. There's some areas where I'm in charge. And the areas where he's in charge, I submit to him. The areas where I'm in charge, he submits to me. And it's not so much a subjugation.
Right. That's the difference.
It's more of like, I have the power to make these sorts of decisions on this specific thing. And I tell him what I've decided and how we're going to do this thing.
So it's more like deferring
Right.
to the other person.
Right. And that's not to say that he can't say, well, what about this or what about that? And have you considered this or that? Because he obviously can.
Right. It's not that you're shutting out input.
Right. Because my power isn't about being in control. It's about I'm the one who has the skill to deal with this particular area.
Yes.
Right. So that means that I can make a good decision and he's preferring that I do.
Right.
Instead of me going, well, I'm better than you at this and I'm going to take control of this and you have no say. It's not like that at all.
Right.
Because that would be the opposite of what we're trying to accomplish.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it makes me think about, I've been in my job for less than a year, but as an editor, I am seen as someone who needs to look at certain things. And there's a graphic designer who's been there, she's been there at least 20 years. And she'll ask me, how would you word this? How would you punctuate this? I need you to look, would you please look at this, and let me know. And I really appreciate that. And I also, if I see some design flaws, because that's part of my job, editing, I don't just say, hey, you screwed this up. I'm like, what was your process in doing this? And did you realize this was a little off, or was that, part of the design, or, so there's that natural push and pull of equality.
Yeah. So let's move on to gratitude. What do we mean by gratitude, Rochelle?
In my mind, gratitude is generally how you perceive the world, how you value things around you and value the people around you. And you look at things through a lens of, I'm very grateful to be here and to have things that I have and be with the people I'm with. It's an ongoing thing every day that is very personal to you and you live your life that way. It's something I try to practice, being grateful for what I have. And it's definitely the antithesis of entitlement, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if you're starting from a place of the world owes me nothing and no one owes me anything,
Yeah.
if you have something, then you can be grateful for it.
Yeah.
Like money, a nice
Right.
house, whatever.
Yeah. And I think that idea, then you become satisfied. The other, the entitlement, it's never enough.
Right.
Right.
Because they can't fill that void. You know,
Right.
you'll always think, well, it's unfair. It's, they should be treating me this way. I think with gratitude, you can be satisfied.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah. And, people talk about practicing gratitude or having gratitude journals or, various ways acknowledging what you're thankful for. As a Christian, if I can pray to God and say, thank you for these things in my life
Yeah.
that you've put here for me. Because there is a benefit of good things,
Yeah, for sure.
right?
Yeah.
If you have good family relationships, if you have a decent living, nice house, good cars, what you're grateful for sort of depends on how you view what is owed to you.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
And if nothing is owed to me, then everything I can be grateful for everything.
It's like
Right.
everything is a gift. Everything is, wow, this is great.
Yeah.
Like a really good cup of coffee first thing in the morning.
I think one thing that people have a hard time being grateful for is pain
Yeah.
and suffering.
Yeah. Well,
Now,
yeah.
that's a specifically Christian attitude. I think, I don't know, there might be other religions that are grateful for pain, but, things going on in my life that are struggle or hard, I'm actually grateful for because they teach me things.
Right.
Yeah. You can see past it. It's not just pain for pain's sake, but
Right.
it's getting me where I need to go. And you often hear of people saying, I would never be where I am now were it not for what I went through.
Right.
Even though at the time I didn't want it.
Right.
And I wasn't exactly like, yay, bring on the pain.
Right. Nobody is.
I mean, you
Everybody's
gotta be
like
a
giving an
little,
Advil.
unless you got
Yeah.
something wrong with you,
I remember.
Where's my acetaminophen?
I remember when I was probably, I guess it was back when I was in my 30s. I went to the hospital. I was pretty sick with something. I can't remember what it was now, but I just had this revelation. When you go into the emergency room, their job is to keep you alive and get you out of pain. And they will do anything they can to accomplish that. They were trying all kinds. I know it was when I had appendicitis in Washington State with my ex-husband. They were trying everything to get me out of pain. They were trying, because I was in so much pain, they were trying so hard. And that's when it occurred to me, this is like, we're talking about pain as a good thing. In this case, they're trying to relieve it and do it all they can to relieve it, which they were doing it in such a way that was very aggressive in this case, because I was in so much pain.
Yeah. I'll bet you were thankful.
I was. When it finally stopped, I was. But they were really good
Yeah.
at what they were doing, and I was grateful for that, because they had no idea what was wrong with me for like 2 hours.
They were determined to solve the problem. So
Yeah.
being able to see, instead of demanding, you could see, you have to get me out of pain.
Yeah.
You were able to see how hard they were working to help you.
Yeah.
Now, I had a different experience in 2019 when I had my gallbladder out, had some complications after that, which are kind of hilarious now. But anyways, I had 2 abdominal procedures within 4 days of each other.
Oof.
And I had a lot of gas in my abdomen, which was creating a tremendous amount of pain. And there was nothing they could give me that would totally relieve it.
Right.
And they took me off the water and they put me on Toradol, which was a very strong, non-narcotic ibuprofen. But it was so strong, you could only take it for so long because it would ruin your kidneys if you took it for too long.
Yeah, you don't want that.
The only thing I could do to get the gas out was walk, and it was agony to walk or to move. And I remember the one nurse, she said, I know this hurts, but I promise you it will work. It will happen. She said, it's going to take time. And I'm standing there, I'm holding out the nurse's station crying. My eyes are pouring with tears. Actually, I was so tired I couldn't cry.
Yeah.
But like, I could feel the tears. I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? Because this hurts a lot. It's like, I promise it will come out eventually. And it eventually did. But that was a completely different experience with pain that I had that did teach me a lot about myself and about pain.
Yeah. What is it with nurses and farting? After 2 abdominal
my.
surgeries.
Are we? I don't know if this has to do with entitlement.
I've never been
but
so
here
grateful
we
for
go.
farting in my life. The nurses were high-fiving me, clapping for me.
I think so. The nurses, I'll bet you can relate. And I think it's one of those, if you know, you know, because once the gas passes, oh, you're so thankful. You feel so
Very
much better.
grateful for the ability to pass gas after abdominal surgeries.
And then, of course, having that abdominal surgery. Now, Steph recently had some major hernia surgery. And I remember when you were talking about getting this surgery and what would happen as a result. So that whole idea of being able to have this hernia taken care of in a kind of aggressive way, that once you were healed, you could basically do anything you wanted to do, which included throwing people on the floor, lifting really heavy weights. But yeah, seeing that, sort of embracing that process, which hasn't been always pleasant.
No, not exactly. It was a weird little sidetrack.
Yeah.
So back on track.
With our apologies.
Yes. We're old ladies. We talk about that sort of thing on a regular basis.
That was helpful.
We're oldish. We're not old yet.
I said older.
Okay.
Or did I? Uh-oh. I listened to the recording.
We're older.
We're older.
We'll just go
not
with
old,
that.
But we're older.
Yeah.
We're in our 50s.
So, the whole idea of kindness now, I think we can harken back to Rochelle's story about the man who came in and was, he could have demanded, or he could have been angry, or could have been upset about them getting his sandwich wrong. He chose to be kind. And I could just imagine, now, of course, I wasn't there, but I know if it was me, because I've been in food service, and you want to do things right. You don't want people to be upset.
Right.
And you expect them to be. You're like bracing yourself. Oh, here it comes, because I know I messed up. And then to receive kindness, like I could just see them becoming more relaxed and just, it's okay. And then wanting to make that man the best sandwich he ever had.
Yeah. Something I just thought of was, I'm not sure if this is the right word for this, but I'll just describe it. When you have the opportunity to act entitled, but you choose not to, is such a character of integrity. Because I've seen people who have been victimized, and we've been severely victimized, adults who've been severely victimized, and their attitude was, well, it could have been worse. The guy who got his arm caught in the boulder and had to cut his arm off, that's what he said when he got out.
Yeah.
Could have been worse.
He survived.
He could have died.
Yeah.
That was his worst. But he cut his arm off to get out, which I would never want to do. But the point is, he did it to survive, and he still said it could have been worse. I don't know if he's a grateful guy or not, but that sounds like he probably has at least a good attitude in general.
Yeah. So what does kindness look like besides not freaking out over the wrong sandwich? I mean, what are we trying to say when we're talking about kindness in this context? Because I feel like kindness sort of looks like not being angry.
Yeah, I think it's caring about the person in front of you more than asserting your rights.
Yeah. Choosing to be soft with someone and choosing to not be angry or aggressive when you may have the right to. You may not be entitled, but you may have the right to be angry with someone.
Right.
And you choose to not be, and you choose to just treat them kindly and still get what you want, but you're not doing it in a way that feels like you're just pounding them into the ground.
Right. Yeah. So it's really using self-control.
Right.
And subduing your own emotions.
Yeah.
For the sake of another person. Even if you're still following through on assertiveness and still following through on getting what you are entitled to.
Right.
But you're not doing it in a way that's threatening to other people, or, putting an energy on them that they don't deserve.
Right.
That's really kindness.
Yeah.
It's basically diffusing yourself.
Right.
Yes.
Another episode.
Yes.
You should go listen to.
Oh, go back to our archives. Check it out. Lots of good stuff there. But that whole idea of, I'm going to practice self-control. I'm going to calm myself down. And I'm going to see that person as a person, not as a vehicle to get what I want.
Right.
Ooh, that's good. Because I think that's really what entitlement boils down to, is seeing the other person as a means to something that you want.
Right.
And not as a person.
So it's dehumanizing.
Yeah. Entitlement behavior is really dehumanizing, not only for the person who's experiencing it, but for yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, if you believe you're entitled to something and you start acting angrily, aggressively towards another person to get what you want, you're dehumanizing yourself.
Right. You're putting yourself in some class above all the other people.
Right.
What are you, some sort of, god or something?
Some demigod? Are you Hercules?
Right.
Come
Or
on,
some
guys.
other female? I don't know. It's the only one that could come to mind at the moment. Sorry. Hercules' father was what? Zeus?
Yeah.
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 So a quick little thing about people who are in positions of power who are still entitled. I've had some terrible bosses who were like that. They took their authority too far and didn't have any sort of humility or kindness in them. They just wanted to dominate everything. I think that can actually be worse.
Yeah.
They do have some authority, and they're exploiting it to get control or power or whatever they want. And people do not respect you when you act that way. They will just think you're a terrible person in general.
But the difference is that it's not justified.
Right.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
there's some sort of bad behavior going on in the employees and they're like doing things they shouldn't be doing, or whatever, anger in that situation would be justified.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're just doing their job and they're doing it okay, and you're just coming at them like angry all the time, then
Right.
yeah, you're not entitled to that
Right.
that anger. There's no reason. It's unjustified. Why are you acting like that?
Yeah.
Right. It's a lack of self-control and really dehumanizing to everyone around you, really.
Yeah. So I think what we need to do is like take a self-assessment of what, if we are entitled to anything, what exactly are we entitled to?
Right.
Right.
Like in my marriage, I'm entitled to some respect.
Right.
So if I'm feeling disrespected, I can, talk about that with my spouse. But I'm not necessarily entitled to other things within the context of our marriage.
Right.
Right.
I can't demand from him,
Right.
Right.
so I have to take an inventory of the things that I'm entitled to. Like, I think basic human respect, everybody's entitled to that.
Right.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. So that's just
That's
I'm not going to treat you like a dog.
Yeah, this is ground level.
I'm
matter
not
who
gonna
you are.
I'm not gonna step on you. I'm not gonna knock you out of the way. I'm not gonna run you over.
Right.
I'm not gonna talk to you like, whatever. I'm not gonna treat you like an infant.
Right.
If you're an adult, I'm gonna treat you like an adult.
Like an equal.
Right.
Whatever. But at the same time, beyond that, what else are you entitled to from me?
Right.
And it really depends on my relationship to you.
Right. Yeah. And to even, have the conversation with the person, set some healthy expectations
Right.
and whatnot. But I'm not entitled to dehumanize anybody.
Right.
Even if I've been treated horribly, it's no excuse to then treat someone horribly. I think, the golden rule. So how would I want to be treated?
Right.
And that can really govern our behavior, because that's acknowledging I'm not better than someone else,
Right.
because I wouldn't want to be treated a certain way, so I need to not treat others a certain way.
Right.
Or, conversely, I would want to be treated well, so I need to figure out what treating someone else well in this situation looks like.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that we've pretty much talked it out.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
But-
I feel
yeah.
fairly satisfied.
And
with
we'd
our
love to hear what
conversation.
you guys think. I'm sure you guys have had some ideas. Maybe some things have been stirred up as a result. And please weigh in. Let us know what some of your thoughts are. We'd love to have that conversation.
Yeah. And remember, we're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can share it with people that you feel would benefit from knowing this information. Please do. We want to get the word out. Also, we are doing reels on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, formerly known as Twitter, YouTube. We're also doing little audio clips. We just practiced taking audio clips from our episodes and creating video reels, whatever. So we're kind of giving you a glimpse of what we're going to be talking about before the episode comes out. So feel free to share that stuff with your friends and family, share it on Facebook, whatever. Anything else you want to add to that?
No, I can't think of anything else.
I think you covered it.
Yeah, if you want to support us, we have a page on our
yes.
website at kintsugicompany.com, which is in the description. You can click on it and go to our website and offer us a little cup of coffee or something, support what we're doing. If there's nothing else, I'm going to call it a wrap.
Yeah.
Actually, if you could also follow us on Spotify and I'm assuming on Apple Podcasts and maybe leave us a review. It would really help us out.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, please do.
Review us, please.
Yes.
We may be totally off our rockers here.
We need to know.
Or old lady
We
rockers.
kind of need to know.
know.
How can we
Please
grow
let us
if we
know.
don't know?
Yeah.
Oh, nice one.
All right. Thanks for joining us today, and we look forward to being with you next time.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thanks so much for joining us as we discussed such an important topic. We hope you got some food for thought and encouragement to keep going and keep growing. See you later, Bear Club.
Remember to join the Bear Club on our Patreon page for exclusive content. The link is in the description. You can find our podcast on Google, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.